Hi, my name is Griffin Gillespie. I'm making this YouTube video for my macroeconomics class for Dr. Amlan Mitra. In this video, I'm going to be covering some of the concepts we've learned from this class and how they relate to the world around us. In particular, I'm going to be discussing COVID-19 and how that affected our economy, and the ongoing war in Ukraine and how we see the effects of that on a day-to-day basis. First, it's important to understand the function of money. So money is a store of value, and we use it as a medium of exchange between each other. Supply of money is regulated by the Federal Reserve. Too much money causes inflation, which is an increase in prices, and a decrease in money causes deflation, which is the lowering of prices. The Federal Reserve System is the central bank of the United States. They control our national money policies, and they also regulate the banks. They also control interest rates, and just recently we saw they raised the interest rates on home loans as an attempt to curb inflation. So we'll see how that plays out. There's an inverse relationship between unemployment and inflation. When inflation rises, unemployment drops, and when inflation lowers, unemployment rises. Unemployment affects people's spending power, which also in turn affects demand. So when people have less money, there's less demand because they're not spending as much, and vice versa. This also hooks into COVID, which I'll touch on later. The federal government's role in stabilizing the economy. So the federal government deals with fiscal policy. They make changes to adjust our country's productivity, our employment, and our prices. They make changes to spending and tax rates. So two of the biggest ways to curb inflation and help our economy are the government can either spend more money, which in turn puts more money into the economy, and they can also lower tax rates, which puts more money back into the people's pockets to go ahead and spend our economy and boost it. Another way they can help the economy is by subsidizing certain industries. So I just recently read that the commercial fishing industry is being subsidized $33 billion a year, which in turn helps consumers by keeping product prices low. Components of foreign exchange markets. So foreign exchange markets deal with currency exchange. So we have USD, US dollars. Other countries have pesos, euros, etc. They also manage foreign exchange risks, and they also allow businesses to endure for profit and breed competition of markets. So businesses are competing to get their products sold on the global market. The importance of international trade, it gives us access to foreign goods, so goods that we might not have in our country or we might not have as much as others, which hooks into surplus and shortage. So when countries have a surplus of goods, they can sell it off in the global market to other countries, and when they don't have enough, they can buy it from other countries. Global markets also allow for competition, which is good for consumers because in the end, it's better for us to buy from the global market, hooking into that, than if we had to buy every product from our own market, what was being produced there. So COVID has had a very big effect on the economy, as we've seen, and I've talked about previously. So unemployment and deflation. So it started off with people losing their jobs. People couldn't leave the house, which in turn caused there to be less money in people's pockets. Then we saw stimulus checks roll out, which started rolling the ball for inflation. Then we saw supply and demand shifts. So when people had less money to spend, there was less demand, which in turn caused businesses to supply less. And we still see the lasting effects as our economy still hasn't fully recovered from prior to COVID, and there's talks currently about whether or not we're in a recession and a lot of debate. There's also the war in Ukraine. So we've seen how it's affected international markets, especially we've seen the price at the pump. So we've seen gas prices much higher because Russia was a big producer for our oil and a big supplier in the international market. We've also seen the energy crisis in Europe. So there's less energy being produced, less people able to get energy. We've also seen a global food shortage, more particularly for people in Europe, as Ukraine was a big food producer. So these are just some of the concepts applied into the real world, and thanks for watching.